the volume.
Turn up the volume.
You've arrived at the destination for all things Kentucky. This is the Bleed Blue Network Podcast.
Good afternoon, Big Blue Nation, and welcome to another episode of the Bleed Blue Daily Show. I'm Paul, joined by Jaden. A happy Wednesday. It is Thanksgiving Eve. It is kind of weird to say that already. I really don't know where the year's gone, Jaden. I feel like it was yesterday. It was like summertime or something. It's just,
I mean, it was like shorts and a t-shirt weather yesterday almost, but
yeah, it's not.
now all of
It's
a
not
sudden
today.
it's very cold and Thanksgiving time. So
yeah, that is not today. So we have a special show today. We have Oliver Simmons, who was on the 1996 national championship team. He will be joining us here shortly. So really excited for that because we've got we haven't had a national champion on. We have Cameron Mills coming on the show on Friday, so we'll have a national champion, then we'll have a two-time national champion on the show. We've got a lot of really cool guests lined up, kind of now throughout. I mean, big, multi guys that you're gonna love, big time guys from Kentucky history, past, beloved guys. Also on the football side and on the basketball side. So really excited about that. So we have Oliver Simmons today. We were going to have Darius West. There's ended up being a little bit of a scheduling conflict there, but that's okay. Those things happen. So we've got that, and very excited for that. Obviously, Kentucky gets a win last night. I wouldn't say it was a pretty win. But we got a win nonetheless. Jaden, what were your thoughts from the game last night?
It was a ball it up and throw it out kind of game. Honestly, if I was the coaches, I wouldn't take too much of it. I wouldn't focus much on it. If I was the players, I would try to forget it happened. It was the first time all season we've seen them not playing at a high level, playing at a smooth, fluid pace and fluid rate. They looked choppy. It was out of rhythm. I think that was a lot to do with the WKU ball pressure. I think WKU played pretty good defense, not necessarily actually stopping us as much, but in trying to take away specific aspects of the game that have we found so much success. Creating ball pressure, trying to make people beat you one-on-one instead of beating you with screens and things like that. Closing out on 3-point shots intently. WKU seemed like they had a very good game plan, and I liked what they did, especially being smaller, putting a lot of mobility and speed on the 5 men. Definitely threw us out of our rhythm early and gave us a look that we hadn't really seen. So it was ugly, gross, but
It wasn't pretty. I actually thought it was a game that was good for us to have, though, because and I think Pope said that too, right? This is like what an early tournament game could be like, where you're frustrated, things aren't going well, maybe you feel it, maybe you press a little bit. I like that about this team. I like that about or not this team. I like that about this game. You got a good test with the team. Obviously, Duke was a test. The yesterday was a test. And people, if they don't think Western's a good team, I think that might be a little disingenuous. Western is always good. I mean, what are they, top 15 all time in wins? I think maybe. I know they're top
something
20
like that. Yeah, something. Look,
if Western had 2 titles, they'd be a blue blood. I mean, with the amount of wins they have all time, that's basically the only thing Western's really lacking.
Did Western get one?
A title?
They got a Final Four, didn't they? They got something one time, didn't they? They had a freak run with somebody crazy that they shouldn't have.
I know they went on like a Sweet 16 run because Stephon Pettigrew was on that team.
Am I over exaggerating this in my memory?
I don't know about in history, but I'm looking. Hang on. They have one Final Four in 1971.
Bang.
They went to the Sweet 16 in 2008. That was the last time. I was
remembering the 71 one.
I'm pretty sure Stephon Pettigrew was on that team because I've known Steph for a while. He's Mr. Basketball as well.
He's one of my role models.
Who's Stephon Pettigrew?
Tried to emulate my game like him.
I'll tell him that next time I see him. I saw him at the.
Is there any chance that you can introduce me to
Steph?
Yeah,
easy. Text him.
I didn't actually. I was still playing the joke. I don't.
Oh no! I can.
As far as emulating basketball players, it was nobody because I sucked. I sucked really bad.
If you were serious, I was like, yeah.
Well, no, I was also. I don't even know if my parents knew each other in 1971.
Oh no! Stephon Pettigrew was in 1971. He was in 2008.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he was on that. On that team because I knew him. I played ball with him for years. And he's actually had a pretty good pro career. He's undersized. He's like 6'6", and he played like a 4. Big, strong guy, can shoot though. He's had a really, sorry, we're on the same page now. The oldest guy I've actually ever like played with that was like really cool was Downtown Dale Brown, who's on the early, who was on some of those Kentucky teams back in the day. So
I played with Cat one time.
Yeah,
my neighbor.
I played with Rondo once. That was.
My neighbor used to do the haircuts for the basketball team, and so Kat was over one time just playing basketball with us in the street, like in the middle of the season, in like full up dress clothes, like probably not what he was supposed to be doing, but
I'm sure he wasn't going hard. I'm sure he was just kind of goofing around anyway.
I don't know. He did a straight vertical between his legs in khaki pants, a like muscle shirt, and like tight vest. Like no warm up, nothing, and just like jumped up between his legs, dunked.
It is different when you play guys who are D1 athletes, though.
And he wasn't even like an athletic D1 athlete, and it was like, oh. Okay,
well, I had a pickup. There was a pickup game I played. So like old school LAC pickup games were legit. I mean, I'm not talking about it's pre-COVID. I was like the only guy on the court that didn't play D1 or pro. I had next. I just got luck of the draw, right? I mean, it was crazy. Like you just sit on the perimeter and just wait. And for a short white guy, it's love because everyone's playing defense and no one's looking for you. I'm just like sitting out creeping, like, oh, yep, that's me.
Everybody's playing defense and nobody's guarding you.
Some guy said something about like, oh man, all you do is sit out there. And I just looked and I said, if I step in front of this big semicircle line, it's an offense to all you athletic people because I got no business being in there. And
that's how you get hurt.
He laughed at me. He goes, that's funny, dude. High five me. And that was like, I mean, I don't know what I was gonna do. Like, I mean, that's how you
get hurt trying to play inside with all the people that are better than you. That's how you try to do too much. You roll an ankle.
I literally looked at the biggest guy. I was just like, listen, I'm just gonna tell you what. If he tries to take me to the cup, you better help side defense, and I'm just gonna get real low and hope he bounce passes because I'm not doing shit.
We're playing a zone here today because I can't guard these guys.
My heydays of athleticism are gone. I can shoot. I can still shoot. I got that. That's never gone away. I'm not keeping up with this guy if he tries to take me off the dribble. But my legs look like they'd be like SpaghettiOs, just get into a knot or something. It'd be ridiculous. But I actually thought last night was the first time. Also, Kentucky looked like they didn't bring it. Right, like that was the first time. Western, that looked like a game again with a team that wanted to prove a point that. It's not a rivalry game, but I guess you could say it's kind of a rivalry game because it's insane.
They think of it that way. Like they kind of hate that we don't play them every year and don't play home and home.
Yeah, it's not. I think we should. That would be great. It's not really a true rivalry, but I guess, like I said, it kind of is. I think it's just interesting, like how they played. But I think we saw what it was like to play a good team. And need to win, maybe ugly. Now we saw what happens when we play a team that we are better than and don't play well and still win the game. That was a big part there where they kind of buckled in. And I mean, look, the thing about this team, and we've talked about this, you can go on runs and spurts that get distance. Like this team can play well for 3 minutes and put enough separation that it can play almost bad for 5, which is insane. And you don't want to always do that because it'll bite you in the ass. But did that last night show you, did you take any real positives away from last night's game, even though it wasn't, I mean, obviously we still won by 18, I think 18 or 19.
19, yeah.
It was 87-68, right? I'm not saying a lot of people are negative, but obviously not playing super well, still scored 87 points. What did you take away kind of as positives about the team last night?
Yeah, to me, it was a display of the Mark Pope philosophy, not the offense. The offense looked jumbled. It looked out of rhythm. It didn't look very good, whether that's, coach or execution or the pressure that WKU was putting on. They know more than me. But it showed that no matter what, like WKU got it close. And it was I was going to write in my story, a ground out 19-6 run. And then I dug a little bit further in it, and it was actually a 2-minute 12-2 run in the middle of a long drawn out 19-6 run. So what I had seen as, they locked in on defense and just kind of chipped away, it was a little bit of that and bang. In the second half, Western brought it back a little bit, got it to 6, bang, quick run, and it was over. It doesn't matter if you go cold for a little bit. That's why I didn't think Duke was a cold shooting night, because you start 5 for 5. It doesn't matter if you miss the rest of the shots.
You just had cold stretches with Duke.
Yeah.
Like
last night was a cold shooting night, but you had 2 spots where it was bang, bang, and you put the game away. And that's why you play the way that they play.
I think also the other part is Pope has a way of looking at this too. And there's difference between telling a team something and then showing film about something, right? Like now you can actually physically work on, and you're right. I think Western's transition defense played a big part. And there's not going to be a lot of games we shoot 27% from 3. I don't think there's going to be a lot. Yeah. Like if we shoot 35% from 3, we win that game by 20, maybe 25 plus, and it's an easy. We probably are coasting 10 to 15, 15 up the whole game at least.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think we're going to have too many of those, but the fact that you can still score 87, shoot 27% from 3, only give up 68. Now, obviously, it's Western. I mean, listen, you don't want to have one of these nights playing against frickin' Auburn. I'll tell you that right now. There's a couple teams in the country Auburn looks absolutely filthy. Just, being honest with you, they basically were up double digits on UConn from the jump, or not UConn, UNC from the jump yesterday. I don't care if UNC is not necessarily the greatest team. They're still probably a top 15 team. And to do that to a team like that the whole way is kind of crazy. So I'm not worried. I'm not panicked. I actually think that was good. I'd rather have a game like this. And you know what? I saw a lot of people saying this too. If this was last year's team, we lose. And I kind of agree with that. Or previous teams.
Yes, just because this is the first time all season that they didn't shoot good. It's the first time all season they were under 40%.
No
from
one
3.
Shot well. Kobe Bryant 4 shots too. He was trying. You could tell he was trying to get going.
From 3, nobody shot. Kobe Bryant hit 3 of 7. Kerr was 2 of 5. That's pretty good. But as far as overall efficiency, I think Andrew Carr was the only person on the team that shot over 50%.
Otega was 6 of 14. You're not going to see a lot of games where Otega's taking 14 to 15 shots. Probably that was. You could tell he was a little frustrated yesterday, trying to get himself going. And what did Pope said? You could it was oozing with frustration, and we still won the game.
Otega is one of the people that I have found when he gets into his spot where he starts shooting the mid-ranges is when the offense starts to get a little misjointed. It feels like the mid-ranges come when things aren't working, right? And I don't know if that's Pope saying, look, they're taking away everything. You got to go for it. You got to get a couple mid-ranges to ease them up or something. But it feels like when they get in a hole, we go to the Otega mid-range, or he goes to it, which is an interesting it's an interesting correlation. It's probably not a cause or anything like that, but it's an interesting correlation I've noticed. Obviously, he's great.
The big thing takeaway: this team has got to clean its free throw act up. As good of shooting as this team has, to miss 13 free throws, you in any game that. To me, is the big red flag of this team right now. Is you got to hit free throws, and I don't know why this team is not good at free throws.
Well, here's the thing.
And we shot a lot last night.
Yeah, we had 2 players go 14 for 22. That's almost all of your, if I'm doing my math right. Yeah, it's almost all.
We went 14 to 22 from the free throw line.
Yeah, Lamont and Amari went 14 to 22. Free throws.
That's insane.
Well, there were 1,000 fouls during the game.
Yeah, it's insane. Think about that. 29 of 42. They were 22 of 29. So there's a lot of fouls in the game. But 13 missed free throws, that's a lot.
Everybody not named Lamont Butler and Amari Williams shot 15 for 20. That's a much better shooting night from the free throw. 75% as a team is not good, but it's a whole lot better than, it's just the fact that teams are going to start fouling them when they get to the paint, right? Because they don't trust that. Like they don't trust them to hit the free throws. These guys they're at season average. They've been 60% shooters their whole life from the free throw line, and they're doing that again.
I mean, well, Carr missed 2. I mean, I guess you can live with that.
But he was 6 for 8. So like
Amari misses 4, Lamont misses 4, Brandon Garrison's 0 for 2. Lamont's got to be better. I mean, just because he's the guy that can get to the free. Anyway, look, I know we might be nitpicking a little bit, but if you get into a situation like this, and that, like if you're playing a top 10 team, like 13 missed free throws can really cost you a game. If you're not shooting well, if you shoot 27% from 3,
well,
you got to find somewhere else.
The answer is don't get Lamont and Amari fouled. Like don't run your offense with the ball in their hands if you're not wanting to, like if you're having a bad shooting night, which maybe actually I don't even totally agree with that, but like there are a couple guys that came in as like not great free throw and they're shooting the same percentage they always have. Like this is not a new problem for these guys. I don't know. I think that's something that they know that they're not, like this is something you can account for and play with at the end of games.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why they went small at the end of the Duke game.
Yeah,
for some extent, it mixed Duke up, but to some extent, you got your free throw shooters out there.
This is the thing, right, about Mark Pope that you love. Like he's not afraid to just throw a little caution to the wind and be like, none of this is working. We need to do something else and put a completely different line. I like Kerr came in and kind of changed the pace a little bit. I thought he played pretty well. Obviously, Carr, I think, played really well last night. Nobody was a world beater. You had Carr and Ortega. But I think Carr was a lot more efficient. He was 6 of 8.
Also put up his first double-double of the season.
The yawning again, doing the show. Start yawning. I don't get it. Ortega was 6
last
of 8.
night watching all the free throws, just sitting there yawning, watching everybody shoot free throws.
I got to tell you, man, like I have this every year. I will be honest with you. I struggle with basketball season initially in like November, December. I can't get my brain out of football season yet. I mean, look, we play Duke. It's different, right? Like we play a big team. It's different. I'm in it and it's exciting, but I have a hard time. I watched the whole game, but I wasn't like engaged the whole game, if that makes sense. That's why, that's why I don't write the post-game article, because you're going to notice things that I don't. Big games are good. I'll watch all those. And it's not anything about like not caring, not being a fan. I have a hard time with that still. But it's interesting.
Yeah,
Louisville is at 17 on IU right now.
Yeah, Louisville is running Indiana. So here's the hint. Indiana is really talented, and they'll beat a couple teams because they're really talented, and they have a bunch of good players.
25.
They stink.
Well, the funny thing is that it's just going to give Louisville fans a lot of ammo.
And I don't even know that Louisville.
I think Oliver Simmons is going to be on a little bit closer to 130, by the way, just to kind of update you. I just got a message, just so you know.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think that the take I've come away with so far is that Louisville got punked by Tennessee, but they're not that bad. I kind of think they're like fine. They're just not like their players just aren't good enough yet. I kind of think Kelsey is pretty good. I think Indiana's pretty bad. I didn't think they were this bad, but I didn't know that.
Look, and I don't know. I've not been watching, so I don't know if they're getting run out of the gym. Or just.
I kind of think Tennessee is. I kind of think Tennessee might just be like really good at defense.
But I mean, that's always Tennessee.
Yeah, but I think it might be different this year. They got athletic.
So games tonight. Let me actually pull this up. All right, games tonight or today. You've got West Virginia against Gonzaga. That could be an interesting game. Colorado versus Iowa State. Memphis against Auburn. Texas A&M against Creighton. A&M lost by 10 yesterday.
Creighton lost again by 17 to San Diego State.
Creighton's a fraud.
Creighton is a fraud.
We had talked about that Oregon game being potentially really interesting, right? Like they looked pretty good. So Texas A&M plays Creighton, so that's maybe an interesting game. Michigan plays Xavier. I don't see anything too crazy there, but Michigan's actually favored in that game, and Xavier's top 25. Michigan State takes on North Carolina. Rutgers plays Alabama. That could be another sneaky good game.
That's my favorite game of the day.
That could be another sneaky good game.
If anyone hasn't watched Rutgers, they have. So there's Cooper Flagg was the number one recruit. They have Ace Bailey, who is like your classic Cal scoring guard, 16 points a game, 0 assists, 5 rebounds, like freak show with the ball in his hand. Then they also have Ron Harper's kid, Dylan Harper, who is averaging 22, 5, and 5 as a true freshman. He was the number 3 recruit. So it's Cooper Flagg, and then the number 2 and number 3 recruit both went to Rutgers, and they're both guards, and they put up a bunch of points. And they're not a good team, but they're those two guys are just good
team,
enough.
But they're a team that you don't necessarily want to play in the tournament because they got 2 guys that could go off and knock.
I want no part of trying to guard those 2 in really any circumstance. But like those 2 playing the pace of Bama's offense is going to be. They're either going to shoot like 4 for 20 and stink it up trying to play with Bama, or they're going to go off and it's going to be a classic freshman like breakout moment.
It's a low key, really sneaky kind of fun game. And then also you have a very late game tonight. You have Notre Dame against Houston. Houston is reeling a bit. So, and then you also late tonight you got UConn versus Dayton. Joe asked, does Dayton beat UConn tonight? I have thought about placing maybe a little sneaky bet on that game because UConn, I don't like. I don't know. Right now, like I feel like UConn's a little bit on the ropes.
It's UConn just looks weird. Like the defensive philosophy isn't working the same without Klingon. I think this their big. I think it's all thrown out of rhythm because Klingon was more a part of this. The system was more Klingon than they thought, and Dayton is just scrappy enough and just decent enough that they could do it again. They could do it again. But Dayton loves to blow leads. All they do is blow leads.
They do love to blow leads.
If they're up 10 in the second half, pretty much money line UConn there and make yourself some money because Dayton loves. You got
Rando and Joe in the comments. They could just come on the show and talk.
Yeah, they could easily just turn their camera on.
It's not like Rando has a newborn baby or anything, and we know Joe's not doing shit.
Bring the baby on the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and big congratulations to Rando though on having his baby girl this week. He's now a girl dad. Welcome to the club, Rando. Yeah. Travis says I would still pick UConn, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dayton won this game. I agree. I agree. I think if you're looking for a sneaky bet, like a little $5 bet, you just want to play, like have something on the game. Maybe you're having a little bourbon tonight because you're not working tomorrow. Family in town. Throw a little bit of a $5 bet on that game. That could be interesting. UConn's favored by 7.5. I actually feel like I actually feel like Dayton might be a good bet there.
I was hoping it would be bigger than that still. I was hoping they wouldn't overreact that much.
Big.
Yeah. But like this kind of feels like UConn like, okay, the joke's over. Like let's get out of here. Let's leave Hawaii. Let's pretend this didn't happen. Let's get in, get out. But I was hoping it would be like 14 or 13 and I could be like, oh yeah, UConn win by 10. But I can't do that, so I won't touch it. But
I think Casey's going to jump on the show too. I'm going to send him the link. Also, I don't know for those of you that missed it yesterday. We have it's the wrong email. What am I doing? Bleed Blue got extended for the pregame show. We'll be doing pregame basketball now, which I am pretty excited about.
Just for certain games though.
Yeah. Look, it's hard to do these games. It's hard to do games because there's a show that they have that's a local radio show, and then it goes kind of into the UK pregame show for like the 7:00 games and stuff. So we're not going to get to do that. But I don't think there's any more real late Tuesday night games. I think maybe one more, but we're going to do the Saturday games. So all the Saturday games will have pregame shows. There's only really one of those that's going to be real early. I think Alabama might be a little early, but those games you're going to be excited about anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be exciting. I'm glad that we're bringing back the pregame show for basketball, and we can talk more about it. Obviously, the watch-alongs will still be going on, but we've got a pregame and watch-along for both games. What is it, next week or 2 weeks? Clemson Gonzaga. So if you want to join us for that, you're welcome to. We're gonna have a good time.
What do you think about the game? This I think Friday, right? Georgia Southern.
I mean, I just want to see them be normal. Like it was a lot of fun watching them beat these teams by like 20 in the first 10 minutes, and kind of just putting the game away and not having to worry. I don't know that I was ever worried last night, but when it got to 6 and they got the couple and ones in a row, I was like, well, like, is it gonna happen? I just want to see them stress free, shoot well, have fun, smile a bunch. The things that we had seen all year that we didn't get nearly as much of.
Yeah.
Yesterday. What about you?
I mean, look, just win, right? I mean, they all count as wins. At the end of the day, when you're looking at seeding, they're not really going to look at close games. If your record's, if you're, 28-4, no one cares about that you won a squeaker or two, right? I mean, I think that this is the best week of college basketball till March. Till March Madness. I don't know if I've ever seen a week of college basketball in the regular season quite like this before. It's been amazing. Have you found yourself just sitting in front of the TV with basketball on and not realizing what time it is throughout the day?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just like randomly, whatever I'm doing, I'm riding the car or something. It's like, well, let's throw on YouTube TV on the sound system and listen to a game or something. Like, there's always something going on. It's like the NCAA tournament. It doesn't even matter what it is. It's all day. That's all we needed, was it to be all day. Give me something to watch, something to do. Spread out the good teams, or have them play each other, and that's all I need out of a week of basketball. And this is the week where they give me everything.
I agree. Checking in on the Louisville score real quick. Oh my God,
25,
almost 30. I mean, they are boat racing them. It is not close at all. This is kind of crazy.
No, yeah, Louisville is absolutely running them. So Indiana's coach is certainly going to be fired, right, by the end of the season, because they're not going to be good.
I mean, it's possible.
They haven't looked good. 14th, he hasn't been good.
It's not a good look to be 14th and lose by 30 to an unranked team. Let's just put it that way.
They're like the players are good. They still have Mackenzie Mbako. They have Omar Ballo from Arizona last year.
Luckily they have for them, the football team is probably going to the playoffs.
Well, I mean, if they win this week, they're in. They kept them in last night.
Crazy to me.
Do you want to talk about that? I actually haven't.
The rankings before he gets on, the rankings were insane. I don't understand anything the committee is doing. Nothing. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Why not?
First of all, how do you not have Kentucky in the top 12? Number one, like it's totally
best 4 and what are we 7 team in the history of college football. To be honest with you,
for real. So like, what are we doing? College football.
You've probably never seen a 4 and 7 team with this much star power. Like the talent ranking they do, where they take all your recruits.
Yeah,
best 4 and 7 team ever. I'll tell you that.
So if you're looking at like the bracket, right? I mean, I think the bracket's something we can hear.
Son of a gun, the bracket.
Look at this.
I had the rankings up. I forgot about the bracket.
Look at this. We can share the screen on the live. Isn't that cool?
Can we really? Oh, son of a gun. Yeah, we can. Okay.
All right. So here's the rankings. This is on ESPN. It's not, better, whatever. It's fine. We got it. So this is the rankings here. Obviously the top 4, Oregon, Texas, Miami, Boise State. I don't think Texas will stay there. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if Texas wins the SEC. I have a hard time thinking that they're going to win that, but we'll see.
So Georgia's in the SEC championship, right? And they play the winner. They play the winner of Texas A&M. I believe that
there is a crazy scenario.
I think Georgia's in though.
Are they?
I think Georgia's for sure in. And I think it's Texas if they win,
No,
and
they're
maybe it's
not.
A&M.
They're not. Well, there's no other SEC games outside of. Well, wait a minute. Texas and Texas A&M play this weekend, so
I think
that's
Georgia's
the last, right?
in on the tiebreakers. I thought I saw that announced.
Okay, maybe. So if A&M wins, I think is it Tennessee and Georgia again? Is that a rematch?
It might be. It's like Tennessee, A&M, and Texas. There's like whatever the Texas
A&M can't
A&M
get in
outcome
anymore
decides
because,
which.
well, okay, no. And so yeah, conference-wise, you've got Georgia, Tennessee. Tennessee has another conference game too. Tennessee has a conference game left.
Yeah, technically.
Tennessee plays
Vandy
at Vandy. Listen, don't scoff that. I mean, that could happen.
I think it's not that I'm scoffing Vandy. It's that I'm angry that Vandy is good because they're not actually good. But they're having a good season, which is frustrating because we used to be the team that wasn't good and had good records.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so looking at this, you could have, if A&M wins, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams at 6-2.
And I think A&M wins. I think A&M wins the tiebreaker. That's what they broke down on game day the one time. Is if they lost to Auburn and beat Texas, they were in no matter what. So I think it's A&M Georgia if they win, and I think it's Texas Georgia if they lose. I think the winner of Texas A&M plays Georgia. I'm putting my foot down firmly on that. Do I know? No, I'm not that confident, but that's going to be what I say. Regardless, though.
All right, here we go. SEC championship.
Does this playoff not look boring?
Huh?
Does this playoff not look boring to you?
No, it doesn't. All right, ACC championship game scenarios. If Texas loses to Texas A&M, head-to-head competition among hang on. In the event that Texas A&M pulls the upset off against Texas, we'll have at least a 3-way tie atop the conference between the Aggies, Longhorns, and Georgia. That's a chance to become a 4-way tie if Tennessee beats Vanderbilt to finish 6-2. How will that shake out? All right, Texas A&M SEC conference record 28-30, so they have the highest winning percentage.
So A&M's winning in.
Yeah, so A&M's winning in. Yes.
Sounds good. I think it's
Georgia already in the clubhouse at 62. Kirby Smart's team is guaranteed a spot in the SEC championship game, no matter what happens in their game against Georgia Tech Saturday. No matter what happens elsewhere in the conference, they'll face whoever wins the Texas A&M game. So basically, that's that. So it's Georgia's in, it's Texas or A&M.
They're playing for they're playing for the right to play Georgia in the conference championship. Have you seen all the talk about?
All right, so want to just welcome into the show. We have Kentucky 1996 SEC or national champion Oliver Simmons. Oliver, how's it going?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. Glad you could jump on the show. I heard you had some technical difficulties. Sorry about that, but hopefully.
Well, I still am. I can't seem to get my camera to show me, but it is what it is.
Hey, if we can hear you, that matters more than if we can see you. I gotta tell you, I don't know why I'm on camera. I probably shouldn't be.
Well,
it's definitely a bold decision to put faces on camera over here.
Yeah, especially for us. Oliver, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people would want to know just kind of what's it like, and to win a national championship, especially at Kentucky.
It's crazy, let me tell you. I mean, it's been quite a few years, and I still get asked on the regular about it. That's why it's one of the craziest things. Not very many people have experienced it. I didn't play very much during that run, but at the same time, I was part of that group. So for the last 30-some years, it's been a big part of me for sure.
What? Go ahead, Jane. Sorry.
Well, one thing we're noticing is this team, the way Pope's built it, is everyone's buying into their role and doing their thing. So what kind of perspective can you bring for buying into a role and bringing a certain aspect to a championship caliber team?
So I think there's different facets to a championship team. That is definitely one. Everyone buying their role, everyone being excited for their other teammates' success is a huge factor. The other thing that Pope does a great job of, and he got that from our team, is how close they are. That's more important than people can even imagine. Just the tight knit family feel of those guys, and I know he's been pushing that from day one with all the events he has doing for them and making sure they're happy for each other's success. Those two things are huge in my eyes.
We had Travis Ford on the other day and just kind of talked to him a little bit about what it meant, for him to have Mark really, embracing kind of, the guys who came before, not only on his team, but, wore Kentucky blue and white, even before and after him. What has that been like for you to be getting, back around the program like that with a former teammate that you went through, I'm sure, a lot with in that run. And look, whether you play a whole lot or don't play a whole lot, you're still, the practices, the travel, you're part of that. And what's it like for you now to be able to go back with this and feel the culture shift at Kentucky in this year?
So let me start by saying everyone has different experiences with Coach Cal. So for me personally, Coach Cal was actually really good to me because when I transferred away, I kind of thought that would be the end of my Kentucky experiences. And when he started having those events for former players, he invited everybody, including me. He always made me feel like I was still a part of it. So I thanked him personally every time we had an event because he did do a great job of that. Now with Pope there, I've been twice already, and the feel is just different. It is much more of that family feel for us, much more of that welcoming feel everywhere on campus, not just at the events that Cal hosted. Now it's everywhere. Like every time we go back, it's just a different vibe with from the managers all the way through to the assistant coaches. It's just more of that family vibe, which is great for us, which we're excited for sure about. We good? Still hear me?
Hey, you gonna go? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you were waiting on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What all that from Pope that you've seen so far from the team do you think translates from his days with Pitino? Because I know he's talked that he's taken some things, but what have you seen that you think is a similarity from your old coach to the new coach?
I think that's such a stretch for most people because basketball is played so differently. If you go back and watch some of the actions that we ran, we'd have multiple guys in the way. We'd have a lot of guys with inside the three-point line. I know people want to act like he's going to play fast and do the things that we did with Coach P, but it's just not true. It's just a totally different basketball game now. The way the game is played, much more spacing, much more action. Our bigs able to hand the ball. Obviously, the three-point shooting would be the closest thing, in my opinion, how important it is to him. But I think it's even more important to Pope than it was to Coach Pitino.
If it's not as similar on the court as people think, are there some off the court things that you think Pope may have taken off of Pitino or anything?
I mean, I've always said this. I said this from the second I left campus. Coach Pitino is probably the greatest basketball mind that I've ever been around. He struggled with the way he treated people. He was very demanding, very much of a jackass most of the time to most people. Pope could not be the complete opposite when it comes to that.
If I were to say Dan Hurley's the new Pitino, what would you say?
Oh, I would 100% agree with that. I would 100% agree.
I've been saving that one for this. Yes,
like for real. It's the East Coast. It's the '90s type of basketball coach. It's the constantly cussing and screaming and the fire and all those things. Like that's exactly what I went through with Pitino on a daily basis. So like Pope is the complete opposite. I told him that in the last practice I went to. The big guy, Amari Williams, was just kind of struggling a little bit, and Pope stopped practice and he walked over to him, and they had a personal conversation, like quiet, no screaming, personal conversation. Pope, patted him on the back, and then 2 plays later, Amari got an and one, and then Pope ran up and chest bumped him and was all excited for him. I mean, that's could not be. And I told him, I said, that could not be a complete opposite of what we went through. Patino would have used every cuss word possible. We'd have been on the treadmill running. It would have been all those things that you've heard from all the former players, but that's just the way it is nowadays. And Pope does an amazing job with every aspect of his coaching, but that one for sure.
When you look back at your time being, teammates with Mark, but, some of the other guys, what is it like looking back now, all these years later and kind of seeing where everybody's gone? I know everybody asks basketball questions, but, in life, when you're playing and you're doing things in college, you don't think about down the road. Did you ever imagine that these relationships and how close you are and around the program and did you ever imagine it being this way, when you left and still being able to be this connected with the program you won a title with?
Like at that time, absolutely not. I was a 19-year-old, they were 20, and we were just doing our thing and never thought it would translate to what it is now. And that's some of the coolest things, especially for a guy like me who was one of the few that didn't make the NBA. I got to see all those guys blossom as professional athletes, but now I get to see them as fathers and as husbands, things that are kind of cool to us now, like
the stuff that really matters in life, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like last time I ran into Derek Anderson, like he's got a 9th grade son, I've got an 8th grade son, and we're always talking about their basketball and everything. It's just things like that to me are
future
really
cats,
cool.
right?
What's up?
Couple future cats, right?
We would hope so, right? We would hope so.
There we go.
So, but yeah, that's the cool part of it. But we never imagined it back then. But now it's amazing. Like everyone talks about our group chat, but it's real. Like everything's on there. The happy birthdays, the what's going on with your families, or hey, who's coming to the next event? Those type of things are always on there. So it's pretty cool.
Was there ever a moment when you found out that Pope was going to be the head coach of Kentucky where you looked back at a memory and been like, man, this memory went back and like, I never would have thought that back then when he did this, that he would be a head coach of this school?
I never thought he'd be the head coach, but I did think he would do something special. Like he's just that type of person. He's got something about his character and the way he carried himself from the moment I met him has shown me that he was going to be great at something. I told that to somebody the other day on Twitter. I just said he could have been a car salesman. He'd be the best car salesman there would be, or he could have been a chef or a surgeon. Like he's just got that dedication and that ability to zone in on what it is he wants to do and succeed. So it's rare that you find someone like that. But I'm so happy that he's our coach. I was one of the first in our group chat that was like, why are we looking at all these other dudes? Like it's Pope. Like he's a basketball genius. So I've been a high school head coach for over 20 years and studied his offense and always emailed him and his assistants, and they would send me breakdowns and stuff. And so I just knew offensively that he would flourish. I mean, he was beating these teams. He was beating Kansas's and everybody else with BYU players, and now he's going to get Kentucky level players. So I'm excited to see where he goes from here.
Were you one of the players that stepped up early, one of the former players that stepped up early and defended him on Twitter, like kind of before it became a thing? Because I feel like I remember you being part of the group of former players that was like on him early before, kind of the fan base caught up to
So I'll jump on that.
Mark Pope was about.
I'm not a big Twitter battler. I don't like to battle people and get into arguments, but I made a couple of my own posts about like what a basketball savant he is, what a genius he is on the coaching board. And so I just felt like I knew that he was going to be able to do this. And I think as Kentucky fans, we're always expecting to get like the top name, but sometimes the top name doesn't fit our system as far as the way the fans are, the way living in Lexington is. Like we just talked about Hurley. Like, yeah, he had won back-to-back, but he's not a Lexington type guy. Like he wouldn't be able to rally this fan base the way Pope has and get everybody back on, Kentucky bleeding blue. Like that's just the way he is. And so I knew from the start that someone like Pope would be the best choice. Like get a former player, get somebody who understands it from the inside out and let him blossom. I mean, there's tons of stuff on Twitter, on the internet. You can look up how Coach K struggled his first years and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, he's in his 9th, 10th year as a head coach. I think we got a good one.
What do you what's kind of something from that year that you like a favorite memory outside of, being able to cut the net down? Is there a specific thing that you can point to and be like, that was, either a turning point for the season or just something in your life that you've always never forgotten?
It's kind of more like an overall theme, and the theme would be like how we used to do things together. Like typical college kids, like we would go to the club to go hang out and dance and find girls, and we'd roll 7 or 8 guys deep. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I wasn't like I was going, oh, let's go hang out with a regular college student. Him and I went and hung out. No, it was like the team went roll deep wherever we went. We'd go bowling or we'd go to the mall, walk around. Like it was always 5, 6, 7 guys, or we'd be playing cards or spades in the lodge. Like it was always a big group of us. We were never just alone or with one or two of us. We were always rolling pretty deep, and that always stuck out for me.
Has anybody said that you sound like Pope, by the way? Like your voice and his sound very familiar.
You know what the best part about that story is, every year around the tournament, they'll show those NCAA runs or whatever, and they'll show Pope like scoring, and people will be like, oh my gosh, I just saw you on ESPN. Like, and I was
thinking he was gonna say the same thing.
I was saying it wasn't me. I was like, yep, I saw that too. So
it must be a coaching thing. Maybe it's just you guys' voice match.
Maybe.
All I'm thinking about is Mark Pope rolling up into the clubs on campus.
Mark definitely wasn't one that went to the club, but he was one that did something else with us. So,
I'm seeing Mark Pope in the corner of Tin Roof waving his hand and stuff.
I could just 7 of us that were all the club ones.
You could just see you getting a hate text from Leanne, like after you get off the show, just like, what do you mean Mark went to clubs?
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't even know Lexington had clubs.
Trust me, it definitely wasn't. It wasn't Pope, Shepard, or Mills, but probably all the rest of us were going. For sure.
Well, now we know what we're talking about Friday.
Man,
we heard you were out in the clubs. When you were at UK.
You said it wasn't Cameron.
Yeah, what? No, not Cameron.
I know, but we're going to tell him it was. We're going to tell him he said he was.
Oh, yeah. We'll be like, hey, listen, Oliver said you were in the clubs, with him.
He said you were the leader. You were taking him to the clubs.
Yeah, I messed with Cameron. I kind of blame him for me transferring, because my sophomore year when I transferred, I was really struggling, and we were roommates, and he was never there. He always stayed at home or always had some event. He literally was never. I had a dorm room by myself, so I kind of blamed him for not being there to mentor me a little bit.
It's all his fault. What's kind of been the obviously we could talk about Kentucky and all that, but what's kind of the thing that you've learned most about now coaching for 20 years, from going from being a player to now a coach, and I think I remember I played a little college baseball. I don't coach, but I know like the life lessons you learn from sports. What has that allowed you to do from that life lesson from that team to now, implementing things that mentoring, helping young men as they're going through their careers and trying to figure out what they want to do?
A couple different things. One is I just try to get kids to understand how hard you have to work to be successful. Like that's one of the biggest things is kids come into sports and they think they're working hard or they think they're doing things at a good pace, and they're just not. I've been at that level. I've seen it. I've played it. It's a different pace than people are going. But a bigger picture, I just think about relationships and how good our team is together and how we're still bonding all these years later. And I want that from all the kids that played for me. I want them to have some type of relationship with their other teammates and with me as a coach and those type of things. When it talks about seeing my teammates' family, same thing with my players. When I see my former players getting married or having their first child or becoming a father and doing those things, those are the things that really matter. I always tell my teams, like, when 20 years from now, you won't remember the score when we played the school down the street, but you'll remember the bus ride. You'll remember something funny about it. You'll remember the memories and the relationships. So that's kind of what I take from that.
So I'm also guessing you probably watch a lot of basketball. Have you been paying attention to a lot of the tournaments and some of the big games that have been happening, this week?
A little bit. So I try to watch a lot of basketball, but I do have a 14-year-old son. I coach his 9th grade team this year, and I have a 7th grade daughter, and I coach her travel team. And then I have
busy.
Then I have a 1st grade daughter too. So I try to watch a little bit. I try to jump on people's spaces after Kentucky games, but I'm always watching the game tape delayed, so I've got to stay off of Twitter and all these things when I try to watch the game. And so I've been paying attention a little bit. What games do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I mean, right now, I mean, going on, Louisville is up by almost 40 on Indiana. Didn't know if
They
you've seen
literally
that.
just get steals and dunks every possession. It's
I,
fascinating to watch.
I honestly think they got a great coach on their hire too. As for what Louisville could get, I think that was an absolutely great hire. I think he's going to do good things there. Obviously, I don't want them to be successful, especially when they play us. But I do think they got a good hire. I think they'll be okay. But I mean, you guys have been watching it and been around it long enough. These early season games, they mean stuff now, but it's about getting ready and prepared. Much as I hate Duke, Duke is playing a really tough schedule, and that's going to prepare them for later on. Like, I just think sometimes these early games, people read too much into it.
Well, I think on the flip side, reading too much into it, as a coach, you would probably see this. I don't know if you've watched a lot of Auburn, but a lot of people are very impressed with them. They seem like the real deal. Have you been able to watch a little bit of them? And what are your thoughts if you have?
I actually watched their comeback the other night against Iowa State. I don't know. I have a hard time. Like I'm over the years, I've changed a lot. I used to play really fast and take really bad shots, and then I really started to slow it down and be more careful on offense. So a lot of these teams and coaches that just play out of control and play one-on-one basketball, I have a hard time watching. I feel like that's Auburn to a little bit. I don't feel like they have very great shooters. I think I don't know. I feel like Pope is going to be dialed in on what some of these teams do by the time we play them. So I just don't. I'm not very high on them at all, to be honest with you.
The Auburn weakness is the same thing it's been for years. They're just a little bit better this year, and it's the guys who can't shoot want to take the shots.
Yep.
That is going to be their weakness. It's going to be the same thing as when they had the big guy. I'm blanking on his name now. The guy that was like the number 2 pick in the draft. That the point guard wanted to shoot. the JD Davis and them wanted to shoot.
Right.
They didn't give it to the. I'm going to find his name now because it's pissing me off that I don't have it.
And that's the thing. Like Pope understands. Like you got to recruit shooters. Like basketball nowadays is about making shots. You got to be able to make a shot. Like with 5-out offense, if you have a kid out there that can't shoot, then you can drop off of him and cause the lanes to be closed. So you got to have everybody's got to be able to shoot the ball nowadays. That's what I've been preaching to all my players. I'm preaching to my son from the moment he can shoot a basketball. Like you got to be able to shoot the ball. So. And we obviously have that. We didn't shoot the ball great last night, but that's also part of the game of basketball. You're gonna have nights like that. So
yeah, real quick before we let you go, talk about last night because I know some people were like, "Hey, this was a good game. We needed a wake up call. Obviously, we didn't play." What were kind of your overall thoughts about the game last night? And did you think it's a positive for this team to grow for down the road?
I think Western Kentucky had a bunch of just jerky guards and people that can handle the ball. The underside, it's hard to guard undersized people, especially when they're super quick and we want to be a little big. Obviously, we made plenty of mistakes. We had guys that didn't play great. I thought Amari Williams did a horrible job last night. I thought he really struggled to get going. I thought he had struggled to get himself mentally back into it after he made some mistakes. But at the same time, I think a lot of the conversations between us and on Twitter and everything else would be a lot different if we made 3 more. We made 3 more threes or even 4 more, which isn't that many more. We'd all be having a different conversation right now.
We said if we shot 35% last night, we probably win this game running away.
Right, exactly. And so those things, yeah, it's nice to see our team win when we play bad. But at the same time, I think there are obviously some things that Pope can take away from that game and try to correct and get on them a little bit. I think he tried to do that a little bit with the way he subbed and who he kept on the bench a little bit longer than normal and things like that. But we've got to get past it and move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, Oliver, I know you're a busy guy, and you've probably given us a little bit more time than you thought already. So I appreciate you jumping on and sharing stuff with us, and hopefully we can have you on again sometime.
Absolutely, anytime. I love it. Thanks, guys. Go Big Blue.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
See you guys.
1996 national champion Oliver Simmons. That was good. He sounded so much like Mark Pope.
He kind of sounds like a mix of Pope and Joe.
A little. A little.
I was wondering if he was going to say they look the same when you said they sound the same. Because when I first saw the picture, I was like, I had to double take for a second when you posted it.
Kind of, yeah, like they're similar, right? One was 51, one was 41. So like see the
if you're
the
not
highlights.
looking super close and you just see it as you're scrolling Twitter, I double glanced at it. And I was like, wait, when did we get Pope? Wait, that doesn't get announced in the Twitter group chat.
Wait, wait, what? You're like, wait, what? Mark Pope's coming on the
Nobody wanted to let me know.
show? That would be like the great. Like, could you imagine we just turned it on the live show and Mark Pope's there?
I mean, if you ever want to do that, that would be cool. You have a way to get in touch with him. I don't.
I have a way. I mean, there is a way. It's just,
if there's a will, there's a way.
You need a little bit more oomph behind everything for before that probably happens, which is fine. Look, you're not gonna. You gotta earn getting a D1 blue blood basketball coach.
Like the most popular coach in the country to.
But it's good. So we got one more. We got Mr. Casey jumping on. Look at this. We got the cut. We got him on. He's here. He's making the live show debut. Casey, my man, what's going on?
Nothing much. I had basketball practice this morning, so I'm tired. But I'm good. Yeah.
What'd you think of that interview?
I just kind of listened towards the end. I think most of the points regarding basketball and kind of what Pope said was good. Pope said last night on the press conference that kind of the main emphasis was viewing Western Kentucky as a tournament team. They returned 8 of their guys from last year's team. They hung with Marquette in the first round for most of the games. So, I think someone said it earlier, but as long as you win the game, no one's going to look at it into March. So, yeah.
What did you think all the way about the game last night? I know you got to watch a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
I was really frustrated with Amari offensively. I just feel like he's very intelligent, but his body's going faster than his brain. I think those are very easy issues. I also said that I don't think this team can be reaching its ceiling if his offensive capability isn't good. He went 3 for 12 against Duke. I don't know if he scored last night. He was 1 for 4 last night. Free throw shooting, I mean, that's just something that was bad last year. We shot 69% last night from the free throw line, so that's not great.
The free throw shooting to me, and I said this to Jaden, like the free throw shooting to me is the thing that's the weird part about this team. Like, why aren't we better at that?
I mean, last year you had someone like Lamont shoot 65% from the free throw line. He shot 66% last night, 8 for 12. The main factor is Amari. Amari didn't even shoot that bad. He went 6 for 10. But if he makes all 4 of those, you go 33 for 42, and that's significantly better at 79%. So,
I just thought we have a couple guys that are good at shooters and spots, and the free throw line is not some of those spots for some of our guys, and those are the guys that shoot all the free throws. So, free throw shooting is probably never going to be a strength for us because
Amari and Garrison are definitely the 2 guys that are our big red flag with free throw shooting. Lamont's got to figure it out, though.
He's at his season, he's at his average he's had every year of his career. He's been 60 to 65% every year.
Casey, I'll ask you this.
He shot high 70s his year before, but he kind of had supposedly a lingering injury last year that wasn't ever considered official. But yeah.
Casey, I'll ask you this question. I've asked a bunch of other people. Do you think Kentucky breaks the 3-point record this season? The program 3-point.
Shit, I think we break it at least twice.
You think we hit 22 more than once?
I think there's a chance.
I mean, we hit 17, and that was flying. 22, because we tied it against.
Get that twice.
We tied it against Wesley, and obviously that doesn't count because that was there. But you think we get it more? If you're looking at a team, I mean, I think Friday is a game that we might have a shot at it. I didn't think we would have a shot at it last night. I almost kind of started putting the tracker out, but then I was like, this game's not going well enough for that. What games do you think Brown? I think is another one.
That's what I was going to say that on December 31st. Yeah. I think Georgia State, there can be an SEC game. I don't know for sure about 22 in an SEC game. I think Vandy's still pretty good.
I don't think Vandy has I don't know if Vandy has the perimeter defense though.
I would actually say the opposite. I would say Vandy has better guards than they do of a front court.
Not the guard play. I'm talking about the overall perimeter play because the inside out game Kentucky can do if they start crashing. That's basically.
I haven't watched enough Vanderbilt to make an assumption, but
I don't think they're bad. I actually don't know if in the SEC slate if we actually have anybody where you play and you're just like that's a give me. I think everybody's. I mean, the league is pretty damn solid. I think top to bottom.
Yeah, outside of I think Oklahoma. Yeah,
I forget Oklahoma's in the SEC.
Yeah, I would have liked to get Jeremiah Fears, but yeah.
Look at what are you looking at, Jaden? Your brain's going. I can see it.
I'm trying to find the stupid Ken Palm defense rankings, but I can't. I can't find the Jets defense.
I have it.
Oh, I've got it. We're good. Just kidding. Never mind. All right.
Louisville is up 34 with a minute 31 left. By the way. Ugh. I mean that is shocking to me. I'm not gonna lie.
I think Indiana has a really good front court. Their back court has always been the issue, and especially perimeter shooting.
I'm just surprised that I'm not surprised Louisville necessarily won. I'm just surprised that this has been an absolute a mauling since the game started. It's not been close.
Louisville started the second half like 19 for 21 or like 19 for 22.
They were on a 26-8 run to start the second half.
Yeah, I was looking through Ken Palm defense. Georgia State and Brown are both in the like 220 to 240 range. So I'm just trying to find some teams that name playing any defense out there.
I think it'll be fun. Like it'll be good to get another game where you're kind of like, oh yeah, we're gonna score like 110. We're gonna score 115. Can we? But I think the games last night were good. So, Casey, when are we getting you on podcasts and stuff, man? We've been talking about this forever. What's going on?
I'll be honest, I don't really know an exact date, but hopefully soon. But yeah. I'll just say this too.
You on the pregame show and a watch along. You could definitely do one of the late night watch alongs.
Late nights, that should be good. No, college basketball in the last 48 hours have been great.
Insane.
Top to bottom. Memphis, UConn, Auburn, Iowa State, UNC Dayton, Alabama, Houston, Iowa State, Dayton, Kansas, Duke, San Diego State, Creighton, UConn, Colorado, Auburn, Indiana, Louisville, Indiana today.
What do you think about the game tonight? Do you think Dayton has a shot at UConn, or do you think UConn basically wakes up from its slumber and takes everything out on Dayton?
I think Dayton's going to win.
A lot of people are starting to sneaky.
I'm confident in Dayton, and I would love to see Hurley lose 3 games. And
I don't know if you heard when Oliver Simmons was on, but he said he wasn't actually super impressed by Auburn. So they play too much one-on-one. So I don't know what you think about that. I didn't think about it that way. But it kind of, they're playing really well right now. But I can see where he's coming from. That they don't play enough team basketball overall to be a long-term threat.
I would say Auburn has 10 guys, like 9 to 10 guys that are all playing at least 10 minutes a game. Their third worst player statistically is still averaging 9 minutes a game. Very physical, very hard. They have the front court to obviously do it. Dylan Cardwell is really good. Janai Broom is the best player in college basketball, probably. In contingency for that. I think he had like 20 and 16 last night.
23, 19, and 5 with 3 blocks.
No big deal.
And then
average.
I think the biggest thing now too is Denver Jones is, I think, a lot slower and a more intelligent guard in comparison to the guards they've had in the past. That kind of like you have a good front court every year, but then you just kind of have guards that chuck shots up from.
I think the biggest thing for Auburn would be is their defense. Like that's the thing that for me, I think why Auburn or Alabama was a team I think we were all like, man, like they're loaded. They can score a lot, but Auburn has that defensive deficiency, right? Sears is a great player, not a great defender. Alabama, though, can just go and crazy and outscore you. But I think where Alabama and Auburn are different, and this is where I think, I feel like Tennessee's Tennessee. Like they have Chaz Lanier and a bunch of dudes. Last year they had Dalton Connect and a bunch of dudes. like I think like Tennessee's kind of like that. I feel like they're a lot more. That's why I don't think they have a success in the tournament. Auburn has couple dudes that can kill you, but defensively, I feel like overall they're gnarly.
So Tennessee, I don't know that I disagree, but I would also say Lanier the last couple games is a different animal than Lanier the first couple games.
Mm-hmm.
he's woken up. He's looking like the Dalton Connect replacement. Finally, he's looking like the guy that we
like 22, right? The last 4 games or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So but I think it's important that last year they were like Zach Edey 1 point game away from the Final Four. Like, that's not, I don't want to act like Tennessee was bad last year. They lost by like 1 or 2 to the second best.
They still didn't go, and that's all that matters.
They didn't go, but I'm just saying, like
15 years and counting.
If they're the same as last year, if they find a way to replace Connect with Lanier and have the same production from them, like they will be really good again.
They re-signed Zakai Ziegler for a 3-year contract extension, so that experience at point guard, locking that in for that. That's something that's big for them. I mean, the guy's been there since 2017. I mean, he should be a good defending basketball player now at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me. I feel like Chaz Lanier is a lot taller than 6'4" when he's on the court. I don't know if it's just
he looks taller.
Matchups he's had, but he looks really
does
tall.
The same thing that Jasper did to me last week, where he looks taller than 6'4" on the court. I think it's his arms. I think his arms are too long.
He's got a really big. It's also kind of like Amari on the court. Amari looks like a massive human on the court.
He looks 7'5" on TV.
It's because Chaz physically is very much a pretty big specimen on the court.
He looks like a 6'7" wing, but he's 6'4".
All right.
If you could go back to late May of this year and you could have picked between Chaz and Jackson, would you still take Jackson? I know my answer, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I think yes, because even though he's not necessarily scored as like we necessarily wanted him to score, I think he's invaluable in the offensive scheme and the defensive scheme, and his plus minus in games is always good. His defending's been great. He's rebounding well. I think the shot will come. He's playing a little bit of a different role. So for me, I think it's him because he's the bridge from Pope to the new team. So it makes it to where it's not as much a whole new team. It's got that familiarity element.
I was going to say, for me, Jackson's the translator between Pope and the rest of the team all summer. So I think that is why I would pick Jackson. Plus, Jackson starts slow every year. Like his first 10 games, like every year, aren't good. I don't know why. I wish, like, I'm sure somebody's asked him at some point, but like he struggles to start every season, and kind of settles in and figures it out. So I'm hoping that happens again. Because, I mean, if they get Jackson really rolling in the games where everybody else is, like, this team might be really good.
Is there anybody that we talked about back in April, May, in the transfer portal where you look back and go, I wish we would have had him? Because I think there might be only one.
I think the one person I really wanted the entire time was probably Davion Smith, who's at St. John's now.
Yep. That's wait, I'm sorry. Can you say the first name again?
Davion Smith.
Yeah, the Utah guy.
Yeah,
that was the one I wanted to. That was the one.
I really like Great Osibor. I think, but I don't know if he would have played.
I don't think Osibor and Amari would have worked together.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I don't think he would have gelled as well with that. Who I'm kind of happy we didn't get is Davis.
I'll go out on a limb here and say I don't think it's completely fair to assess Janelle Davis yet because he did have a wrist injury. And I mean, Arkansas won the other night. I don't know what his stat line was, but it was pretty good. And he ended over 50% from the field. So if I pull that up quickly, he had 16, 4 for 7 from 3, but it's still the
when I say that because I don't think you would have fit the system well. I don't think you would have fit the system.
The problem for him is at FAU, he had shooters all around him, and now he doesn't. So, like, his drive and pick stuff and all that doesn't work as well when you don't have shooters. I think he would be FAU John L. Davis if he was here, surrounded by shooters.
Do you think, maybe, is there anybody from that team last year that you wish was still here?
Z.
Z.
Or that you think would have just
Only
killed it?
player I would
Huh?
have taken. Only player I would take is Z. I really love Adu, but I just don't think you would have a role that fits him well in this game.
Adu would not. I don't. You're right. I don't think Adu's playing really well, but I don't think he would have fit this offense. But I think you're right. I think Z would have been an absolute. How many
monster.
times is Amari out wide open on the 3-point line? And if we had a guy like Z sitting out there that can shoot, 30, maybe even 40% from three, because if he's that wide open,
Z's shooting 57% right now. By the way, this season
from three.
Yeah, 13 for 23.
I mean, the guy.
He's a pretty good.
That's the only guy That's the only guy I think that I wish we had from last year's team, because he would have just been.
And I'm looking through like the top transfer portal guys. I mean, there are some guys we could use. Like Kadari Richmond's good, but I don't know that there's anyone like
I would
all
take
of these
Davion
things.
Smith over Kadari Richmond.
Yeah,
I would
I'll
too.
I'll
I'm
take
just trying to think of players that I've lived up to what we expected when they transferred, or
Chaz
that would
has. I think
that would
Chaz
potentially
has
fit.
now.
Yeah, but Chaz was. It ended up being Hammer Jackson, even though they tried to say it wasn't.
I wonder what happened to Wooga Poplar, because I really remember for kind of a 2-week stretch we were in contention for him.
He's at Villanova. I think
now.
he's struggling.
Villanova's,
They're terrible.
Well, Villanova's just a mess too. Yeah, so
He's averaging almost 14 a game.
Yeah, I
14,
think it's
13 and 6. I mean, that's not terrible.
On 41% shooting. 36% from 3, 41% shooting. Yeah, it's solid. It's high volume inefficient.
He's had two kind of bad games, and then the games that he's played well, he's went 62% from 3, 33% and 50% from 3. Field goal percentage 54%, 27%, that's not good. Well, that wasn't a great game, and then 50%. So he's at 3 games.
High volume scorer. He's Wooga Poplar.
I think he might have actually done okay in this offense because he's much more of a spot up guy. And he's long and lanky, but there's nobody I would take over him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's when I look at the top transfers. Like, would I take any of these guys over? Take everyone over him. Kadari Richmond over Andrew Carr. No, probably not. Like, when I look through the top guys, I don't see guys that I would rather have.
I'll touch on 3 guys that I kind of wanted in the portal. PJ Haggerty, first off. I live in Memphis, so this definitely is with me. Playing like one of the best players in the portal right now. 2 people that have been horrendous, I feel like. I don't know if anyone remembers right before Cal left that week before when we contacted Cade Tyson. He was about like a 48% 3-point shooter.
Was that the Belmont guy that went to North Carolina?
Yes. That is averaging like 4 points a game. Not playing good. Aiden Mahaney's not played great either. And then I don't know where. Oh, and then Coleman Hawkins is.
Coleman Hawkins
playing terrible.
Boy, he has been
terrible.
They paid Kansas State paid him $2 million to average like 5 points a game.
I will tell you I think the only guy I would take is Small over Lamont.
Smith?
No.
Not Small.
I wouldn't take Javon.
He's
Small
the Utah guy, right? Small.
Javon Small came from
Javon Small was
Oklahoma
State. He ended up at West Virginia.
Yeah, no, him.
15.
He's the guy. I like the Utah kid, but Small was the guy that I really thought. Like, if there's one guy I would take him over Lamont.
Well, you get a chance to watch him. He plays it. He plays in 2:30. Javon Small.
Mm-hmm.
He plays in 15 minutes against Gonzaga.
I know the kid's a dog though.
He is good.
It's a hot take to say that. Would you guys rather have Kerr Krissa or Devon Small? Curious.
Small's averaging 15.
Or not small. Sorry. Davon Smith or Kerr Krissa?
Probably Smith. But the problem is Kerr is shooting bad, and he's never shot bad.
Started over Lamont, I think.
Kerr is definitely shooting terrible. I don't know if they updated the stats from last night because he went 2 for 3, I think.
2 for 5 last night.
Yeah,
which is still a good shooting night if you do it every night. But
look, at the end of the day, the team's filled out really well. I know, like, we're just playing like this hypothetical, right? I mean, I'm not mad about any of it. I think Small's kind of the only guy that's out there that I would have been like that guy on this team, and we're lethal. Like Lamont's a good player, don't get me wrong, but Small would make this team.
Small
different.
was the dude that didn't want to commit until everybody else committed, right? He didn't want to be the first, and so he wouldn't
I'm
commit
confused
to
if
it.
you guys are talking about Small or Smith because y'all keep
I'm talking about
jumping
Small.
back and forth.
Small.
I'm talking about
Okay.
Small. Oklahoma State to West Virginia, Small.
Yeah.
Not
Utah.
Wasn't he the one that wouldn't commit until everybody else committed? He didn't want to be the first one. It was like him and Brea didn't want to be the first.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Brea took a sweet time. He was in no rush. He didn't commit till what, May 1st?
The last ones.
I think.
He waited till the end.
Yeah.
No, he committed this. We got him the same day we got Kirk Risa.
That's true. Yeah. It was within like a 2-hour frame. I do remember that.
I remember that day.
It was a very exciting week.
I remember that day.
I think that was my hot take at the time was getting rid of the entire roster and building it out of transfers in a week is the most fun I've ever had.
We've got two pieces of information, like not phenomenal in like this whole time. One was when someone like literally, I think I can say this now. It was at the school said that Jackson was the other commit, and we got Kobe Brea. And then Jackson committed. I mean, we were quick, and when he said it, he's like, "Hey, like we knew we got Kobe Brea right, and we got Jackson wrong."
I remember this.
Yeah, and then but like, remember when we were showing the text messages of like the couple people we were talking to was like, no, I mean, like he's coming, and so we got it right ultimately, but the timing was wrong.
But it was
still
delayed.
going through the process, and then the stupid Brock Vandegrift stuff, which when after the season we really explain that story, everyone's going to be like, "Oh wow, that makes a lot of sense." Like. I can't say, like, obviously we know, like, someone came up and tweeted that he was the source, but there's more of that story. And I mean,
what are you talking about with Brock?
I actually talked to someone at another media company who had the exact same info, and they were running the story Thursday morning.
It was that Brock
was
that
out,
Brock was hurt and not playing from Murray.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. I'm going to ask him because one of the guys is going to come on the show soon-ish, I think, and they had the same info. They were going to run it, and but it came. When I say it came really close, it was there. But I mean, look, and it is what it is. You don't get but I mean, I didn't know that it was going to be a big secret. I thought everybody had it because it was talked out there, and because it was 11:50, everybody was going to run it at like 8 a.m. and then it all went to shit that next morning. So it's fine. It is what it is. But those are the only two things. I remember the Jackson thing.
I know you're a basketball guy, but how excited are you for Cutter to get the start?
I'm so stoked to watch the game and beat Louisville again. It's been like 2,568, 69 days since they beat us.
It's somewhere around there. It's somewhere around there. We'll hit the 70s by game time, or close to it at least. I know. Could you imagine in 3 years starting for Kentucky football at quarterback? Like,
I don't play.
Like, I'm trying to think. Like 3 years ago, I would not. Like, there's no chance I could have played a sport for Kentucky. It's just, I don't know. It's wild.
2,558 days.
58. So we'll get to the 60s. I mean, we'll get to the 3,000s by next year, right?
Yeah. 3,000 days. That is.
Since what? Wait a minute. What am I missing?
Since Louisville last beat Kentucky in football.
In football, that's beautiful. Well, it wouldn't be 3,000 days because it's 360 days in a year. If we beat them,
it's closer to 2,800. That's closer to 2,800.
No, is it?
That's subjective.
Wait, no, my math is off.
It would be 2,190. It would be 2,190. You wouldn't hit 3,000 days till 9 years.
Well, there's also 2 years in there from when we didn't play them in COVID.
Yeah.
Well, and we're not accounting for leap years, but I mean that's only one extra day, so I think we're nitpicking on that one. But it would be 9 year. The 9 year mark would be where it'd be 3,000 days. It would be over. It would be over. Well, wait, when's the last time they did beat us?
Yeah, 2016.
2017.
Or 17. Yeah.
So it's been
December of 2017.
So it technically will be 7 years because we didn't play him, but 6 straight.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be fun. 2,555. So we're close. Boy, if we get him 2 more years, we'd be like, it's been 3,000 days since y'all beat us in football. Shut your face. When's the last time they beat us in basketball?
COVID?
2019.
Yeah, COVID.
Wait, no.
Maybe
COVID.
this COVID year?
2020, 2021.
We
Askew
lost like
at Louisville.
63 to 62. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was-
It was
That
Askew and
was
Boston
COVID
and Clark
year.
and all of them at Louisville.
It was at
That was-
Louisville.
That was 21, right? Didn't we
20.
beat them the COVID year?
No, we lost to them.
The year
And
they
the
got
year after, they
canceled,
didn't play
the
us.
year where the tournament got canceled, we beat them, but we lost when there weren't any fans in the stands.
I don't remember that.
That was
I
the
don't
9
remember
and
the whole
16 season.
That whole Well, I remember the record. Thank you for reminding us. I know I watched every game because there was nothing to do. That might have been the most watched televised.
Painful.
That's probably where Kentucky fan base Twitter just has gone sideways in some aspects, was COVID, because we had nothing else to do.
So
That
painful.
team was so bad.
So painful.
So
And Boston's balling now. In the NBA
I was
too.
about to say, speaking of that team, VJ Boston's a dog. He's
I wouldn't
crazy.
have
He
thought
is.
that.
He's good.
I know, but I wouldn't have thought that. He wasn't.
He was so
One
selfish.
game.
He had
One game for us.
He had it.
Hey, I don't know if you saw, but Denzel Ware had a monster game like yesterday or the day before.
Denzel Ware.
Yeah.
That's a
You mean
football
Lance
player.
Ware?
Lance Ware.
Lance Ware.
Lance Ware.
Oh yes. I was like,
Yeah.
Denzel. There's no way Denzel Ware is still playing ball.
Sorry, Lance Ware. UT Arlington. He had like 26.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think he had a double-double, I think. But I mean,
Let Lance
I
go.
saw it and I'm
Yeah.
like,
He had
Guys still
29
playing?
round three. Yeah, he was balling.
Casey, you got any big Thanksgiving plans tomorrow?
Not really, no. I literally had school yesterday, so we're just taking it easy. So yeah.
And Jaden's going to Owensboro right after this. So I think this is a good place to wrap it up. It's a good show. Appreciate Oliver for coming on. Casey, thanks for jumping on. We'll be back Friday. Big show. Cameron Mills. Don't want to miss that. That'll be a great way. Maybe, look, we got a couple other people in the air. Maybe jump on Friday. We'll see. I think we're going to have a guest host on Friday as well. I think Stephen Peak from KSR is going to hop on and also kind of guest with Cameron Mills for that one. So that'll be fun.
Are you going to be here Friday?
Oh yeah, I'll be on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's just,
I didn't know if Peak was taking your spot.
no, he's just he's very excited that he was coming on. I told him he could do it if he wanted, and he was just like, acted like Casey if I would have given him floor seats to the Arkansas game. He just got really excited. So he's a good dude. So but anyway, thanks everyone for jumping on and listening. Appreciate it. I will get this posted on all of the other channels, and we will see you guys. No show tomorrow. We'll see you Friday.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Bleed Blue Network podcast. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of Kentucky sports with us. Don't forget to stay connected by following us on Twitter at BleedBNation. Your feedback means the world to us. So take a moment to leave a review. Not only does it help us improve, but it also helps others discover the show. Until next time, keep cheering, keep listening, and keep bleeding blue.